Okay, so very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Those who like to join the in-house tour, yeah, increase tour, follow me, yeah. Increase tour, come over here. Jump at the other side. Yeah, increase tour this way, please. Inside out. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Penang Peranakan Museum. I'm Stanley, so I will bring you around. The tour takes about 35 to 40 minutes. And you're allowed to take pictures, no problem. After the tour, you still can walk anywhere you want to go. In case you're hungry, you can go out for your lunch break, you still can come back. This museum will be closed at 5:30. And once again, welcome to the museum. So before I start, I will share with you the history about this mansion. This mansion was built back in 1895. 130 years ago. And the first owner of this mansion belongs to a gentleman from China. We call him Kapitan China. Kapitan Chung Keng Kui. And Kapitan is a Malay word, simply means captain. And it's not the captain of the plane, the ship, or the army, but someone who was in charge of the Chinese communities during that time. Cowboy town, no law. And who was this gentleman? He was a gangster leader. Why? We trace that to history. Malaya, during that era, there was a civil war. Two groups they are fighting. The Gihin and the Haisam. Senior citizen, you should know, the famous war, the Larut War. And where is Larut? To be exact, they are fighting in Taiping. And before Taiping, it was known as Larut. And okay, and why are they fighting? Because of tin mining. They want to control the tin mining business. Bring that up. And the owner of this mansion, he was the leader for the Haisam. Okay, and we look into the history. The war lasted for a very long time, no ending. In fact, it spread everywhere. And finally, he tagged along with the British. Because during that era, Malaya, we are under the British. And he won the war, so this mansion owns by him. To cut the story short, it went until the 5th generation. For Chinese, our property usually can last only 3 generations. First one makes the money, second they spend a little, the third one finish everything. Yes, my grandfather's property, exactly the same. Before the 3rd generation, bye-bye. But this mansion, it went until the 5th generation. So the grandchildren, they sold the mansion to my boss in year 2000. And the present owner, Mr. Peter Soon, a local Penang guy, he is a housing developer. He got the money. At the same time, antique collector. Very expensive hobbies. He has been collecting antique for more than 30 over years. Still today, still collecting. And he only specialized on the Nyonya Baba's collection. And now, we have to understand what is Nyonya Baba, or the word Peranakan. Welcome to Penang Peranakan Museum. Peranakan is a Malay word, simply means Nyonya Baba. So what is Nyonya Baba? Those were the days our great-great-grandfather, they came down from China. No plane, sailing ship. They depend on the wind direction, basically. And they settled down here, they married the local ladies. It can be the Malay, the Indonesian, the Siamese, or the Burmese. And the children that comes up, the next generation, the ladies, we call them Nyonya. And the gentlemen, we call Baba. That's why today we have the Nyonya and the Baba. And during the British time, we call them the straight-born Chinese. And because of mixed blood, usually Nyonya looks beautiful. Baba very handsome. You look at him, looks like Chow Yun-fat. And you see carefully, he looks like who? Chong Kok. Usually Babas are very handsome. I'm the Baba. Once upon a time, very handsome. Today, 71 now. Grandfather. And they tell me, Uncle Stanley, 71, looks so young, so handsome. I know. Why? After the tour, Uncle Stanley, can we take selfie? That's why I know I'm still handsome. And where can we find the Nyonya Baba? A lot of them in Malacca. And for your information, Malacca Nyonya Baba and Penang Nyonya Baba, we are not the same. Now, we'll share with you the differences and where can we find them. A lot of them in Malacca. A lot of them. We are from the north. We are the northern Nyonya Baba. So now you see we have two groups. Southern, northern. Number one, look at how the Nyonya comb the bang sango. Okay? During that time, all the Nyonya, all the ladies, long hair. Penang and Thailand Nyonya, the bang they roll on top of the head. Look at her on top. Originally, Malacca, Singapore, Indonesia, the Nyonya, the bang they roll behind, at the back. And today, the modern generation, they don't care, all mixed up. Some on top, some behind, and some in front. And the other day, one lady asked me, hey Stanley, how do one with two bun at the side? Haha, have you seen ladies with two bun? Right? From there, Star Wars, Princess Leia. In my younger days, I could still see a lot of ladies, they comb two bun at the side. Why? To show people they are still available. Ladies, during that time, you must marry out. You cannot marry out your neighbor, the villagers, they will gossip about you. Okay, nothing else to do, just the gossipers. Today, who cares whether you're married or not, so what? Alright? And number two, the way we talk are different. Penang and Thailand, Nyonya Baba here, we speak 70% local dialect. Hokkien in Penang, Teochew in Thailand, 30% Malay, we campur, mix. But in Malacca, Singapore, Indonesia, they speak 70% Malay, 30% local dialect. I've got a lot of friends in Malacca, pure Nyonya Baba. My generation usually they are here, I bring them around, we communicate in Malay. And the modern one, we mix with English. And the third thing, the Peranakan food. We are different. Penang and Thailand, we follow Chinese style of cooking. Here we use a lot of pork. Lo bak, hong bak, tawi bak, hong bak, all the bak down here. But in Malacca, Singapore, Indonesia, they follow Malay style of cooking originally. Everything chicken. Ayam onte, ayam buak keluar, ayam kapitan, ayam paci, ayam maci, all the ayam down there. But today, the modern generation, because of business, they also plant everything mixed up. Especially Malacca, very popular one today. Babi pomtet, babi buak keluar. A lot of dishes we use for all mixed up with. Alright, so ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to bring you around. If you have any question during the tour, feel free to ask me, no problem. There are 1,001 items. I will go for the main item, take us more or less 40 to 45 minutes. Okay, and this is a free guided tour. It will be something. Come, let's go, show it around. Please follow me. Come, let's go. I'll be so fast. And look at the towers, these are all original from England. When they built this mansion 130 years ago, today they're still down here. We call the geometric towers from England. And came from there, Stoke-on-Trent, popular for towers. And we look on top, beautiful iron structure, all the way from Scotland. Excuse me. Okay, you can see down here, it came from Glasgow. Scotland, by the company McFarlane and Company, solid cast iron. And you walk around the town, you can see the old colonial building, they have a lot of structure. So you know they're from there. And again, be careful the step. Let's go inside, this way please. Okay, yeah, let's take a look at the beautiful table. And this table we call Tok Panjang. You see, because of mixed marriage, even the language they use, they mix up. And Tok Panjang came from two words. The local Hokkien dialect, Tok Tim, it means table. Panjang is a Malay word, long. So we call long table. And why very important for the Nyonya Baba's family? Because the olden days, our grandfather, grandmother's time, no family planning. They are good producer. They have many, many children. And the owner of this mansion, he got 16 children. 10 sons, 6 daughters. And those were the days his friend asked him, hey bro, how many children you got? 16. His friend tell him, you are so blessed. You are champion. Today you say you got 16 children, your friend tell you something is wrong down here. Times are totally different. And from 16 children, how many wives? Olden days, grandfather, they had many, many wives. And the owner of this mansion, he got 4 wives. My grandfather got 3. I only got 1, not fair. Times are totally different. That's the reason why they used to panjang for longer family relationship. Okay? So this is the main entrance, and you notice those were the days if I open the door, we only can see the sea. Walking distance to Esplanade, Port Overdis. Okay, today I open the door, we can see a lot of building outside. Alright, and now notice the door are very huge and a lot of holes. Why? For ventilation. And during that time, our grandfather's time, they don't have electricity. They use kerosene lamp, they use candle. No, not that water, they use well water. So you see, and then you can see down here the hole down there for ventilation. I stand down here and feel the wind from outside. At the same time, they use a CCTV camera. Okay, you got visitors outside, you look through the hole, you can see who is outside looking for you. But the most important thing I've done is the beam down here. What is the purpose of this beam? A lot of them is standing to prevent the flood water from coming inside the house. Logic, not so. We can never go against nature. Heavy rain, big flood water still comes inside. And they said in olden days, the Chinese, they don't have proper barrier. You watch a Chinese movie or not, or the ghost movie, or the ghost hands up, or jumping one. Try around, see around. And they said during that time the ghosts, they are not high jumper. They cannot jump inside the house. They got stuck outside, cannot come in. No, you are watching too much movie. In the first place, I don't know where they got the idea. Alright? And then in order for you to come inside the house, what you have to do, you must leave your leg, then only you can come in, right? So the moment you leave your leg, it touches the ground, indirectly you are bowing, paying respect to the owner of the house. In fact, every one of you have done that. Before you come inside, we got a pin down there. But we just go inside, we do what we're supposed to do. And the olden days, they vary a lot of superstitions. We are not allowed to sit on it, step on it, or you kick it. No. That means you show no respect. So my younger days, usually children, we love to sit down there, chit-chatting away from behind, the king will come, pam, 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 everybody start running. So basically, it's to pay respect. Alright, now you understand. And today, you visit the public temple, before you enter, there's always a beam at the entrance. But we just go inside, we do what we want to do. Alright, come, let's go outside now. This way, please. Okay, yeah, please come over here, and again, be careful the step. Up and down, everywhere. Please, come follow me. This way, please. We open it up. Yeah, come here, no problem, come inside here. So you see, just now I shared with you the beam at the entrance, right? Pay respect. And this is a family temple we call Ancestral Hall. And it was built back in 1899. 4 years later, after they built the mansion, they built this Ancestral Hall. So today, the grandchildren, they sold the mansion to my boss in year 2000. They don't sell the ancestor. This is a private property. And they still come here to pay respect. Bring the Chinese Qingming, also stay. Chinese New Year, special occasion, they still come here to pay respect. And everything inside here that cannot move, today they're still original down here. Alright, and what I want to share with you, is because you look at this one, this is very high. Right. Why? This is an ancestral hall. So the younger generation, they come inside, they have to lift the leg very high, and then the moment they go down, the bow will be lower. They are paying respect to their ancestor. And you don't expect the senior citizen like us to climb up, we tumble down. This one can be lifted up, we just walk inside, and then you can see over here, there's another small beam. So usually we'll hold this one and we cross over. Alright, now you got it. Now it's clear. Because this is ancestral hall. Now, and now from here we go outside. Come this way first. Here. Here. Alright. So now I want to turn behind and look on top. Take photo. Take photo. It's beautiful. Handmade. 100 over years ago, but already repainted. Because the paint under the sun, they got faded. But the figuring on my left and right, the paintwork till today, they are still original down here. Alright? So on top, already repainted, but this one, they are still original, the paint. And you're ready, you can turn over here. We look at the statue right in front. Exact persons of the first owner of this mansion. Kapitan China, Captain Chung Keng Kui. And this statue was presented in remembrance of him by the British government. He tagged along with the British and had done a lot of charity during his era, building schools, temple, houses, roads, etc., etc. VVIPs of the olden days. And they even built a statue in remembrance of him. Alright, so now ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to bring you to another building, already aircon. So after the tour, you can come back here and take a look, explore yourself, and I'll bring you to another building, already aircon. So please follow me. We move to another building here. This is the original size for the kitchen. One big square. And during that time, no electricity. That means they don't have this wall. All the way open up, a lot of ventilation. And the olden day, we stand down here, we look outside, you can see the entrance where you walk inside this now. Alright? And then the cooking area is not like this. It occupied a quarter of this kitchen. More than 100 over people was staying down here. He was the leader for the High Sun, a lot of bodyguards, a lot of servants plus family members, 16 children, 10 sons, 6 daughters, and some relatives. So we can imagine a lot of happening down here. And now from here, I'm going to show you the olden days mooncake. You've never seen before. The mooncake of the olden days is bigger than my face. Look at the wooden mold. They used to make mooncake. Last time mooncake for the whole family. Today mooncake so small. Not only small, they're somewhat expensive. And during that time, ladies, you must know how to cook. Today, the modern generation, the other day I brought the younger generation. I said, hello sister, you know how to cook? Uncle Stanley, we only know how to eat. They're very straightforward. Another group telling me they do magic. I will take out our phone, we beep, 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 the food fly inside. So convenient. But last time, no. Ladies, you must know how to cook. You have to cook for your husband. Husband will use tiffin carrier as a lunchbox and bring it to the working site. Grandfather, grandmother's time, no restaurant, no coffee shop, they don't sell food. Alright, and my time is selling food. But zero plastic bag, environmental friendly. Zero plastic bag. And we buy food, we have to bring tiffin carrier. Today, the money very hard to find. Okay, and you manage to get it, they are very expensive. And I'm going to show you another interesting item just to bring back memories to some of you. Come, excuse me. I sat on this chair when I was a baby. See? A lot of you sat on this chair, right? Senior citizen, we know. And these are very, very common item. And during that time, no pampers. So you sit down there, you can pee, you can poo, never mind. They use water to clean, wipe it, you use pad. Time for meal, mommy just lift up the baby and someone help her to flick it over, becomes a chair. So we call the mother and child chair. Today, Penang still selling. Last time, one chair only a few ringgit. Why? Everyone making. Today, no more competition. One chair today, almost 200. My sister just bought one, that's why I can share with you.
Where?
This one, where to buy? Penang Road. There's one shop, Rattan shop. They're selling down there. Alright. Penang Road.
What's the name of the shop?
Name of shop, I don't know. There's one road there, one shop down there making rattan. They're still selling. Okay, and you're very lucky. Sometimes they, here and there, the van will come, they will sell. Alright, because today they're very expensive. So inside this room, we can see all the handicraft handmade by the Nyonya. And the Nyonya specialties are the beater shoes. And to make one pair of shoes took her 5 to 6 months. Why? Practice makes perfect. And then the beads they use are imported from France. They are made of glass. That's why you look at it, they are glittering. All these are glass beads. I'm going to open it up. I just share everyone with everyone of you. Okay, these are all glass beads. Piece by piece. Okay, boy can see. And after finishing the shoes, the mother will do inspection. And mother will take a look and then they see one of the small flower missing. She have to remove everything, redo again. Practice makes perfect. And this, all the Nyonya of the olden days, everyone, they know how to do this. And once she expert, took her probably 2 to 3 months to complete a pair of shoes. Alright? And from here, I will show you another kind of shoes, the famous wood binding from China. We call the 3 inches feet or the lotus feet. Come, let's go at the back. 200. These are original. Today outside selling one pair 800 and above. Okay. Now let's take a look at the shoes down here. Baby shoes. These shoes are meant for adults and nothing to do with the Nyonya. The famous wood binding came from China. We call the 3 inches feet or the lotus feet. And the olden days in China, they believe the smallest feet you have, the most beautiful lady you are. At the same time, they believe the wife cannot run away from the husband. And a lot of children die very young, 3, 4 years old. They are still young, the bone are soft, they bend the bone until it breaks. One line. No injection, no painkiller, no antibiotic. A lot of them, they died from gangrene and infection. Until rebel in China, 1917, Dr. Sun Yat-sen became the leader. He put a full stop to this culture. So because of Dr. Sun Yat-sen, no more food binding. And food binding are only for the rich family. Not everyone's perform food binding. And once you perform food binding, at least 2 servants will take care of her until the day she died. My younger days, I could still see a lot, but today no more, all gone already. So this is real crazy, just because of belief. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to bring you back to the aircon room, another building. Millions ringgit collection of the street Chinese jewelries are down there. And there's one item priceless. Okay, come inside. So this item, normally my boss would keep inside his safe. But because of Christmas, Chinese New Year, followed by the Raya, he put it out for everyone to see. And today, we don't find this item. But during the British colonial time, the VVIP's wife are wearing this for special occasion. And the green stone, we call the Imperial Jade. The best of the best among the jade family. Outside, you don't find this type of jade. That's why so green and so beautiful. My boss' personal collection, not for sale. And we move inside. Look at the golden bell. The Nyonya, during that time, they don't have shorts, t-shirts, singlet. And every one of them, they wear sarong kebaya. And you know what sarong kebaya? You look at the air hostess from Malaysia Airlines, Singapore Airlines. Everyone wearing sarong kebaya. And sarong kebaya is a Malay costume basically influenced by the mother. Because the mother was a Malay lady. And I believe down here, a lot of you wear kebaya before. And once you put on the sarong kebaya, you look at the mirror, your body shape will turn into a Coca-Cola bottle. Very sexy dress. That's why Malaysia Airlines, Singapore Airlines, all the air hostesses are wearing sarong kebaya. And you're sitting inside the plane, we can see the Coca-Cola bottle walking up and down. And the olden days, they even used golden belt to tie the sarong to show people how wealthy they are. And during that time, zero crime. No snatcher, no robbery, no hold-upper. They stay in the village. Everyone knows everybody. Very safe. Today, you use golden belt to tie your sarong. You go outside, you come back. Not only the belt disappeared, the sarong also gone. Times are totally different. So now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to show you the masterpiece. This item, no price tag. Come, let's go behind. This is a very, very special item. Come over here. This is a masterpiece. Come, this masterpiece already more than 100 over years old. And today we look at it, it still looks very new. The headgear, the brooch and the earring, the blue color, what is that? A lot of them, they say, Stanley, this is turquoise. This is enamel. It looks exactly like turquoise, but it came from the feather of the bird, kingfisher. They trapped the bird. They took only 1 or 2 feathers from the wing and they let go the bird. They don't kill the goose that lay the golden eggs. And they took the feather, they pulled the side of the feather, 1 strand by 1 strand. Handmade into all this. And it took the master craftsman 2 to 3 years to complete this item. Today, no one can do this anymore. And from our naked eyes, we can't see anything. I will show every one of you how it looks like. Ready, go. Ta-da-da-dang.
Oh my God. There you go.
Okay, these are all feathers of the bird. Once, can you see my little friend? These are all feathers of the bird. Excuse me. And they even use golden frame to hold the feathers. A lot of gold are down there. Behind, can you see, brother? Can you see down there? Okay, excuse me. Okay, these are all feathers of the bird. 1 strand by 1 strand. Handmade. And see. And they even use golden frame to hold the feathers. Anyone left out? Everybody's seen it, right? And 1,001 birds outside of all birds. Why they chose the kingfisher? The color never fades. This is an amazing bird, and today we can find a lot of this bird along the river. Sometimes in the garden, we cannot touch them. It's a really protected species. We look at the Bengal down here. These Bengals are not for the hand. These Bengals are not for the arm. These Bengals are not for the neck. These Bengals are for the ankle. During the wedding night, husband must wear a pair of anklets on the legs of the wife. Why? I lock the legs so you cannot run away from me. You see, that's what they're trying to say. Or else why they wear the anklets? At the same time, they used to identify themselves, they are already married. And the olden days, if the gentlemen, they see ladies wearing anklet on the legs, they will not go near and disturb them. And today, this morning, during the tour, I'm so excited. I'm so happy. I don't see anyone wearing anklet. I got chance some more. My grandfather got 3, I only got 1. No, just kidding. But a lot of things I already shared with you. And the most interesting item I'm going to share with you is the wedding robe. The most interesting one. The moment you enter, go upstairs, remove shoes on the left-hand side at the end. The moment you enter the room, you look at the wedding bed, they are very small. Why? They married very young. 13, 14, 15, out they go. And all marriages are rich marriage. The rich, they marry among the rich, and Nyonya Baba married among the Nyonya Baba. And some of them are so young, small size, cannot climb up the bed. They have a support. You're wondering why inside wedding room got chicken? The oldenest culture, they practice wedding night, before they sleep, husband and wife must put a pair of live chicken inside the cage, cover it up, and they put it underneath the bed, sleeping with them. Early next morning, when they wake up, they took out the cage, open up the cover, and they wait. See which one jumps up first. And most of the time, the rooster jumps up. Oh, it's a boy! Congratulations! They are going to have a son. So simple. You want to know the sex? Go to market, buy one rooster, one hen, put inside the cage, and see which one jumps up. Today, you try and see. Your mother-in-law say your nuts are loose. You want to know the sex? Go for scanning. All right. So now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to end the tour down here.